Hey, what's up, everybody? And welcome to the Masters of Evil live podcast. I'm Mike, joined as always by the gang.
Alan, aka Greg's last bandana.
Oh boy. Well, thank you for everybody who is tuning in, be it live or after the fact. This is our 9th episode, big celebration anniversary 9th episode. So, and we're here to talk about comics and VHS tapes and anything else that we deem worthy.
Yeah, we have a new idea for like a podcast where me and Tom hunt down VHSs and we watch one and then we like talk about it. We also get naked.
Sounds like my kind of podcast. It's kind of like how did this get made, but with the hunt and then a lot of nakedness. So
a lot of naked dudes, yeah.
A lot of naked dudes. Sounds like my kind of podcast. Every week we pick a different book and read it.
AKA every week we read one of Mike's picks.
That's not true. That's not, my picks are gone. I have no more left.
Oh, thank God, because you
fucking suck.
Thank God, because every week we review Mike's picks. Now they're all gone, and now we can actually move on to some good shit.
Wasn't last week was Tom's pick, and
it's true.
I think we read maybe 2 of Tom's books. Anyways, this week
we read last week.
Gravediggers Union.
Oh yeah. And then before that was Headlopper.
That was yours, right? There you go. Yeah.
So then we did.
And then we did the book with Tony, or the interview with Tony.
Yeah.
And then before that was I think Monstrous was after.
Oh yeah, Monstrous and then Deadly Class.
Deadly Class.
Thank God we got all Mike's books taken care of.
Fuck. So out of 9 episodes, there's like 2 that you really hated. Like, give me a fucking break, okay? Jesus Christ. But this week, we talked about the limited 9-issue series that came out from Image. I believe it was in 2016. It's called Green Valley, and it's by Max Landis with art by Giuseppe Camicoli. And the plot reads as the Knights of Calodia are the finest in the land, but they've never faced a power like the one that resides in Green Valley, where nothing is ever what it seems. So I'll just jump in right here. Like I had an inkling that this book was not going to be what it seemed, but I had no idea where this fucking book was going to go, and it really took me by surprise when it got there. What were your initial thoughts?
It was very boring.
You're such a dick.
It was, man. It was. I texted Tom last night. Was it last night or this morning? I think it was this morning. Yeah, last night and this morning. It was like, this book is awful. But I mean, honestly, I told him, like, let's just say that we hate it anyway, because I hadn't actually finished it yet. And I was just like, let's just tell Mike that we hate it because it's funny to me whenever you pick a book and we hate it. I mean, it wasn't awful. It just wasn't. It could have been a lot better with what they had going on, I think. Yeah, like it would have been cool if there, like I told Tom, like it would have been cool if there was like actually a dark wizard who was time traveling but instead it was some fucking idiot with a pad. Like,
yeah, if it was more like a Rick Sanchez kind of guy, it would have been better. Or yeah, I picture totally like a drunk, like massive beard Merlin that's just fucking running amok through time. But yeah, we get this like leather jacket wearing, dude who looks like he's from the 90s and
who's literally singing Journey. And fucking listen to Chumbawamba.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, the first 2 issues, I was like, okay, like it's a knight in shining armor. All their town gets, lit on fire, and they lose somebody they love, that kind of thing. And I'm like, all right, I see where this is going. It's happening. And then issue 3 came up, and then the random leather jacket guy was supposedly this dark wizard everyone's scared of, who's just traveling through time. And I got fucking mad. I was reading it, my girlfriend was sitting there, and I just went, what the fuck? Like when the reveal came up, and she was like, not good, and I was like, stupid. There were cool parts that kept going throughout the book. There were definitely cool things. He, used dinosaurs as pets to, do his bidding, and it was neat. I like dinosaurs. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree about the whatever you want to say, the villain, that guy, the wizard that they were calling him. He definitely was underwhelming as a character. Kind of. I really did like the I liked the whole thing between the three knights specifically. Like I thought that was pretty good. Like there was some heart to it. I felt, like I there was some. I felt like those characters went through an arc and it completed at the end, and I kind of, I at the last moment when everything was going off, and it's like, I'm like, shit, are they going to kill themselves? Like, is this going to end up all right? Like, I was kind of didn't know what was going to happen next from page to page, really. So I found that interesting. I don't think this is the best book ever written by any means. Like, but I thought it was fun. I understand now that you guys say that out loud. Like, yeah, like if this guy was kind of more of a badass, it would have made it like more fun or more interesting. But also, if you're from the future and you have all this technology and dinosaurs that you can control, and you're a badass, nobody's going to survive you, right? Like you're just going to decimate everybody in your path because you're like from the future and a badass. So
right.
it kind of fits that he's just some scumbag like con artist that really isn't that smart, really isn't that good at what he's doing. He's just in the past. I kind of got that this is my boomstick vibe from it, but not as good. I will say that. Go ahead.
Even whenever shot the guy with the gun, he like shoots him in the arm, and I'm just like, come on, dude, shoot him in the head, shoot somebody in the head, shoot everybody in the head. Like, fuck you.
I would definitely say if I was him and I was back there, I wouldn't be off living in the woods by myself. I would just like run that shit. So that doesn't make any sense to me. Like I get that he was so fixated on selling all that shit that he wanted to make that money in the future or whatever, but or for whatever reason wanted to go back to the 1980s so badly, which I don't know, it tells you something about the writer, I guess, or what the writer hates. I don't know. It could be. I will say this. I mean, you guys sent a couple of screenshots and stuff, and I think the art was pretty freaking good. And specifically, I love the coloring. It was just really bright and vibrant, and I feel like everything I've been reading lately has just been dark and like muted and like for the right purposes. But this was just the first book in a while that I read that had like bright, vibrant colors and really was colored well, and I enjoyed that aspect of it a lot.
I mean, the colors were great. The art, I wouldn't say the art was great. It wasn't horrible.
Yeah, there were some times where some of the faces I feel were pretty fucking wonky. But even the dinosaurs looked cool. I thought they were pretty well done in general. But yeah, going back to you saying that the characters had an arc and that kind of thing, it was kind of, speaking of dinosaurs.
Yeah, I wish he would have bit his head off and there was blood.
Yeah, but this paid off. There was that stupid joke throughout the whole thing about like his helmet, and then his stupid helmet saved him. So it paid off. I like that kind of stuff. I like when there's those running jokes and then like it kind of that was worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
I just wish because they showed the barbarian guy in the very beginning. I wish they had kind of went deeper into that. But
I could have.
He was a cool character. Like that would have been cool. Like showing them. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I could have definitely. I think like I could have dealt with him being more part of the story, yeah, that probably would have been real cool. Tom, what were you going to say about the Knights? I'm sorry to cut you off.
I was gonna say, like, you definitely get the story between the main two guys, two tough guys, you know, that are really one's like got a macho love for the other one kind of deal.
Yeah.
And then
he defeated him in battle.
Yeah,
he ran up on his shit, took everything from them, and he's like, "You're the badass. I'm devoting my entire life to you." Yeah.
You know, the storyteller guy. Yeah, tips don't work, right? The storyteller guy was kind of interesting. He was a big scaredy cat that never really actually did anything. Supposedly, he just told stories about all the stuff that he did, and then he ends up conquering or taking down the dragon, which was a T-Rex. But so yeah, they all had something going on there in general.
Except for the one guy who died and then came back to life.
Yeah,
it wasn't really too because he died like fucking quick.
Yeah, the like archer guy. He's like the sniper of the group.
Yeah,
he died super fucking quick.
Yeah, Indy they called him in Indius or something like that. The philanderer of the group. Yeah, I enjoyed their back and forth. I thought it was kind of like at first the first couple pages it was a little quippy and like kind of corny and shit, but like as it went on and they like it made me chuckle a little bit. Their back and forth and just like ragging on each other. They were like brothers, like I definitely that came through. Like I felt like these people really cared about each other. Like you could say in like the back and forth where they were just like making fun of each other, but then like on a whim be like, "Oh, come on, man, I'm just fucking with you. Don't make that face." Like I've been in that situation. Like I know that feeling where you like that happens. It seemed pretty realistic. That was
Mike used to be a knight. He understands.
I used to be a knight, and I've time traveled quite a bit. So
they called him Sir Mustache.
Sir Mustache. I was an Italian knight. They called me Sir Mustache.
Yeah.
Mustachio.
I after reading this shortly after Headlopper, the back and forth between the main two guys in the Knights in this book kind of reminded me of Norgal and the first sword. How they like knew each other and they were kind of fine, but they kind of fucking hated each other because they fought before, and it kind of reminded me of that kind of feel.
Yeah,
different but similar.
Yeah, I mean this this book made me. I will say this: I was reading this, and this made me think, "Fuck, I can't wait for Volume 4 of Headlopper." That's what I kept thinking the whole time I was reading this, because I mean, like, it's not. I can't tell you how many Knight comic books I've read in my life, or even really like medieval times. Yeah. Like I feel like Headlopper's more of that. It's got that more Nordic like Viking feel to it than medieval. But I honestly can't remember another book I've ever read about knights, or maybe I'm just blanking, But so 9 issues. And Tom, I got a question for you because I was happy that you sent this. You sent this picture to me, one of these, and I'm just curious. It's the background as well. I'm just curious what made you send this one over.
This honestly was like the coolest looking part of the book to me. The colors, how bright she was, and how dark the castle is around, and the fire doesn't look like normal fire to me. I don't know. It was super cool, and it was a very dramatic feeling for the main character in this book. He was a big loss, and his wife or his lover or whatever she might have been.
And this is like flashbacks in his head, right? Yeah, no, I agree. This is definitely one of the more striking pages. This is definitely a page I looked at and kind of went back to and looked at again. And when you sent it to me, I was like, that's a good picture. And I thought there was some really good, another one you sent that I really enjoyed too was this one. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like, it wasn't just the aspect of like how, at first when I looked at it, I glanced at it and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that was the Earth. Like that blast is, from from like satellite view, right? And so when I thought about it, I was like, oh, that's much bigger than I thought it was. But it's also like kind of the climax of the story. It's the climax of the time travel. All that kind of stuff came together.
Yeah.
And I kind of, it was, again, the colors, right? There's not much art here. Like, I mean, there's obviously a lot of art here, but there's not much penciling here.
Sure.
But the colors are just fucking phenomenal. And I really enjoyed this. You think this? Go ahead. Go.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, do you think this is digitally colored?
I do, 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
What I was going to say was kind of like how you were talking about with the Barbarian in the beginning, how you would like to see more about him and that kind of thing. I kind of felt the same way when it came to all the time travel stuff. Like, we almost had like a TVA situation that we saw in this book, you know, speaking of Loki and whatnot. You know, you had this group of people that were trying to catch this time traveler person, and it looked like they were a bunch of suits, you know, like they are a whole organization. And, you know, it would be cool to learn more about them, but I understand as well how they didn't draw this book out, or why they didn't draw this book out farther than they did.
Thank God they didn't. And but that part reminded me a lot of like Dr. Manhattan.
Just because of the blue and like the skeleton and stuff like that. You mean? Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. This was one of the parts that took me by surprise the most. Like, I figured he was going to be, you know, he stepped into that portal or whatever the fuck it was, and like was going to be flashed to the future, or all of a sudden he was going to pop up in prehistoric whatever. But he's in this room, and I'm like, okay, something's going to happen. I did not expect it to be like these people hunting for this. I don't know, that I was just it's like you said, it's like almost like Loki. It's like the TVA. And then they were gone, and you see them at the end again. And they kind of explain things a little bit more, but
kind of.
Yeah, they do kind of. Yeah, they wrap it up pretty. I feel like the one thing about this that at least this book does is it definitely wraps itself up at the end pretty like definitively. Like, everything is kind of spelled out. Like, here's what happens to everybody. I could have definitely dealt with more of this, like more of that. Like, who are these people? Like, do they just like track down, for the lack of a better word, like these time traveling, I was going to say variants, but deviants, whatever, you know? That's a pretty cool, that is an awesome book to me, right? Like Time Cop, essentially. but maybe a little bit cooler.
You can definitely tell that this book wasn't written by a comic book writer, in my opinion. You know, Max Landis is a son of John Landis, and Max has done a bunch of like screenplays and written movies and things like that, directed a few things, you know, that kind of stuff. And outside of this, I don't think he has any other comic work. I think like this is his
he does. He's got a few other things.
Okay.
He did some stuff for DC. Actually, his Superman American Alien series was actually really fucking good. I think he even won an Eisner for it. Not that that means anything because of his name, but I'm just saying.
It's also a couple weeks
I'm just saying
that won a bunch of awards.
Well, what did you just? Fuck you. Fuck
also,
you.
That's also a couple of weeks back to a book that was beloved by all and hated.
Hey, listen, I don't know how much
hated by two.
I don't know how much time you spend on Twitter, but I saw Mitch Gerards was posting. I'm finishing up my work and ready to do all the podcasts. If you're interested in having me on your podcast, hit me up. And I'm like, oh, we should just bring him on if we could ever get him on and just talk about Mr. Miracle the whole time. Anyways, so he wrote this series, Superman American Alien, and it was like 7 issues, and each issue it was like a different part of Clark's life. And it was just very like it was just about him growing up. It was not like, you know, one story is about him being on like a young Bruce Wayne's yacht and they're like get too drunk and like all this shit happens. It was just different. It wasn't like capes and fucking stupid shit. But
I've heard of it, and I heard a lot of people liked it, but I haven't physically like gone out of my way to read a Superman book besides The Red Sun in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Tom hates Superman, Batman.
I hate current Superman, Batman, but that was fun. I did pick that up on a whim, and I bought all whatever 7 or 8 issues. Anyways, doesn't matter. You're right. It definitely does. He is not. He's not a comic book writer by any means, and it shows. However, on the other side of that, I will say, pretty quick and easy read. Would you say? Like it got to the point. It was very like distinct, but he had that typical thing of like explaining everything, then trying to maybe show some things.
They got to the point where I read those 4 issues last night. I fell asleep. I woke up this morning and thought about watching a review of the book instead of finishing the other 5 issues.
Wow. You really disliked it that much, huh?
I just...
That means something right there. That's... Yeah.
I mean, it was like I told Tom, it was very underwhelming. Like, it was just almost like...
I agree with that. Absolutely.
Like the build-up wasn't that great. Like we said, like the guy wasn't as spectacular as he was led to be, and it was just kind of like, here's a guy from the future with a gun. He's not really doing anything but trying to rebuild his ship so that he can leave. Oh well. Like the fight was kind of boring between him and the fucking one guy.
Yeah, there definitely was no action in this, and with a bunch of knights and dinosaurs, I would definitely expect there to be way more fucking bloodshed and like, I mean, there was barbarians and knights and dinosaurs and fucking axes and archers and fucking everything in this except for violence.
Yeah,
which is now that yeah. Well, hey, I gotta say, Alan, if anything, you're starting to bring my rating of this book a little bit down now. I start to talk about it out loud.
You can't hear my little one watching Shrek in the background, can you? Okay.
A little bit, but it's okay. It doesn't. It's not like overwhelming by any means.
She had to leave the living room because she was scared. I'm too scared to watch Shrek in the living room until she came in the bedroom to watch Shrek.
Yeah, that's good. That's perfect. That's because you're a good daddy. I put my youngest in the bed with my wife before I came down here because he was screaming, and the only way to stop him from screaming is if he sleeps with us at night. So I said, "Fuck this! I'm not dealing with this. I got to go downstairs."
Whenever I disappeared in the very beginning, I went and grabbed different VHSs because I had already showed y'all the VHSs.
All right, good. So I know Tom had an important work call that was coming up, so I believe that he probably stepped away from that for a second. So I don't think we really, I think we covered this book pretty well, and I think
We're
that
gonna wait till Tom comes back to do our
the VHS. You wanted, or do? I was gonna say we could do ratings now. Give him a little bit more time. He can do his rating when he gets up. Shout out to Jay. What's up, Juan? Juan. I heard that. That was hilarious. Yes. That was cute as hell.
Come say Juan's name.
Yes, come say hi to
Come here.
Juan. I'm
Come
sure
here.
he would appreciate that.
Come here. You can't see him.
And Tom's back.
Whenever I was putting, because I like download movies and I put them on a flash drive and I plug it into the back of my TV. So I had to grab Shrek from in the living room, like the little thing, and put it in here. And she was sitting on the couch as I was plugging. I was like, all right, it's not laying on my bed. And I was like, go in the closet and sit on the chair. And she like, okay, and like started to creep into here. And then I guess she saw both of y'all. She's like the shyest person in the world. And she like turned around and tripped over the cord to my light. I was like, ow. And I was like, there's no one's gonna hurt you, bro.
Tom Fan of Comics loves your shirt. As do I, quite frankly.
Come here.
Although I don't care much or I shouldn't say I don't care much. I just haven't read much TMNT comic books. the cartoons and original movies will always have a very, very, very sacred part in my heart.
Wasn't there a Department of Truth cover swipe for?
Yeah. I think that's one. Yeah, I think that's one of those covers that almost just like everyone has ever done.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the best I've seen. I don't know if you've seen the Cerebus reprints that have been coming out over the past couple years, and every reprint, from its Cerebus Goes to Hell, right, or whatever it is. Yeah, and so it's all those reprints, and then every cover is just, I wouldn't call it an homage, but a parody of classic covers, and it's everything, right, from Fantastic Four to Giant Size X-Men 1 to House of Secrets 92, and it's fucking, and I mean they even do like some pre-code horror ones, like they dive deep, and it's fucking awesome.
I've purchased a few of them, and I like Cerberus, but like I don't collect Cerberus, I've read like the huge like omnibus books and stuff like that because a friend of mine is a huge fan, and so I've read a lot of that kind of stuff. But yeah, when those started coming out, there's a cover of this, and there's also one that's just like a really close up of Swamp Thing's face, but it's not Swamp Thing. It was another character. God, what was the name? It was like Art Yark Thing or something like that, but it was the same.
They do like the Action Comics ones he's talking about. It was Aardvark Comics 1. They do that because he's an Aardvark. That's great. He is an aardvark. So
did we read this book while I was gone?
No. So I wanted to wait, but Mike wanted to just go ahead and do it. I thought it'd be weird to move on and then come back for you just to read the book by yourself.
Yeah.
I just couldn't listen to Alan go on and babble about how cute his daughter is all the time. We hear
Mike,
it. Mike
only cares about himself. That's what
I do. It's true.
All of his books already.
That's the truth. I've just been randomizing a book of a list of only books I like, and not putting any of your books on there.
It's okay. Like I get it. I like myself so much that I have my own face on my coasters. So
perfect.
I get it.
Yeah, that way the drink is always close to the mouth, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's perfect. I like that. What I was saying was I think we pretty much covered this, and we could probably go about and give the rating and then move on. What I did say when you stepped away was, as Alan was talking, he was talking me into lowering my rating on this book because one of the bigger ones that I didn't think of until he just said it is like, not every book needs to be gory and fucking violent, but I do love it. And he said like there just wasn't enough action or something along those lines, and I'm like, yeah, you have dinosaurs, knights, time travel, guns, archers, all this crazy shit, and there's barbarians, and there's basically no fucking violence or action in this book. So it's
a lot of talking.
Yeah, a lot of talking. Yeah. A lot of talking. All right, so let's go with ratings. So we rate in two parts. We'll do the first is 1 to 5 scale for art, and the second is 1 to 5 scale for writing, and combine those score for a total score 1 through 10. Alan, you go first.
Art. While there were parts that I liked, I would say like a 2.5. Like a 2.5. I mean, it was good. I mean, it's drawn well. I just didn't care for it too much.
Faust
is crazy.
It's Tim Vigil for you there.
Yeah.
Story wise, I'd say like a 2.5. There was a lot of talking that I didn't care about. I mean, I usually stay up till 4:00 every night. I went to bed at 11:30 last night because I read the first 4 issues and was like, I can't carry on with my life anymore. So I guess a total 5 out of 10. About a halfway there.
He agrees.
Tommy, you want to go next?
Sure. Art, I would probably I'd probably give it a 3 in general. There were some really cool looking pieces, and then other parts were just kind of whatever. But yeah, just like you said, Mike, it was really bright, and there were a lot of great coloring in it in general. So I'd give that a 3, and then I'd probably be right there with Alan and say the story is a 2.5 to give it a 5.5, and that's. Again, there were parts of it that I liked, and there was some story or character development that was okay. It wasn't amazing, but it was okay. But yeah, to literally sit there and out loud go, "God damn it!" when a random time travel dude showed up, it took me out of it so hard. And then it couldn't bring me back because there was nothing about him that I gave a fuck about at all. And the time police people I didn't see enough of them to be interested in what they're doing or why they're doing it, that kind of thing. So about a 5.5 overall.
Yeah, and I mean mine's not too much higher, right?
Mike gives it a 9.
Yeah, so 9.9 out of 9, and best story I've ever read. And anyways, I was actually just looking at it. It's funny, the colorist was nominated for an Eisner for this book, which is that makes sense, right? The thing we did like about it. But I think I'm 3s for both. I like the art. I read because I love the Flash, I gave the Rebirth Flash a try, which was Joshua Williamson and Giuseppe Comicoli, who was the artist for it. And there were some things, same thing. There was just scenes where it was just fucking awesome. Like lightning from the Flash was just everywhere, and he was in the splash pages were always phenomenal. Right, that's what he does really well. But then the close-ups of people's faces, or just them sitting in a in a coffee place having a conversation, it was I couldn't even tell the difference between who's Barry Allen, who's Wally West, and they have different hair color, right? You know what I mean? They looked exactly the same, and I saw that in this a lot too.
Yeah.
The stuff it looked like he took his time on definitely shone out above everything else. But I think it was a 3. The colors definitely elevated a little bit more for me, and the story, although I don't think everything needs to be, it's a 9-issue series. It doesn't need to be this big, huge thing. I enjoyed it. I chuckled. I laughed. I was satisfied at the end. Good enough for me.
There you go.
6 out of 10. Sounds good. Hey, before we move on, while we wait for Alan, do you want to talk about the book? So let's preface this. We will not have a show next week because some of us are on vacation. Well, I'm on vacation, so I won't be here. I know I thought one of you were not going to be able to do the show next week as well.
Did y'all see that little arm?
Oh, there it is. So
I'm going to Mississippi next week, but
that's right.
So I'm going with. Yeah. Okay, never mind. She doesn't want to come. So I'm going with my 2 oldest daughters and their grandma. We're gonna go visit her great grandma, but her my oldest daughter's grandma already said hey, you should look up comic book places while we're in Mississippi. And I was like, cool. And I was like, also, it'd probably be good to hit an old antique place because they usually have comic books. And she was like, I know just the spot. Perfect. So there might be a video. I can probably do a video whenever I'm there of me hunting for comic books.
Yeah. I'm going to be out in Lake George, which is a big lake in New York State, away from service, sitting on the beach drinking vodka with my family and letting my kids swim and on a canoe fishing. So I won't be doing any of that. But
sounds pretty boring.
The point, it's boring. You know me, big old boring guy. The point is, we won't be here next Wednesday, but I believe July 14th, when we have our episode 10, we're going to be talking about a book that Tommy brought to us. Tommy, you want to talk about it real quick before we move on?
Yeah, sure. So the book that we with Mike is mentioning and that we talked about the last episode is Indiegogo book by Sean Murphy. If you don't know who Sean Murphy is, he is most popular, I would say, at this point in time because of his Batman White Knight series. He's done a lot of Batman stuff, but he's done a lot of way cooler things before Batman. Trust me. He wrote and drew his own book, Punk Rock Jesus, that was really good. He did Joe the Barbarian with Grant Morrison. It's a really good story. That's one of the I haven't cried reading a lot of books, and that one got me. But anyways, he put out an Indiegogo campaign for a book that he wrote and drew, and it's called The Plot Holes. Mike's got a photo of it that you can pull up right now. And just a quick, oh, you didn't do it.
Mike should have a photo of it, and he's rapidly trying to get that photo on because he just realized.
So while he's trying to find it, I'll give you the breakdown, like a really short breakdown of what the book is about. So the plot holes are a squad of fictional warriors who transport themselves throughout the pages of other books, using their unique skills to save the plots in order to stop them from being destroyed. Cliff is their newest recruit, a comic creator, it's completely based on Sean himself, who's just realized his world isn't real. In fact, it's a complete fiction that's literally existing inside of a novel. So you get a bunch of different styles because all of these plot hole characters are from different types of books. You have characters from manga, you have characters from comics, you have characters from, is there more than those two things? I don't know. But yeah, you got quite a few things. And you have a police officer type character almost that, nope, that is not the right.
Gives you an insight into our chat.
Yeah, you're so bad at this. There's a police officer type character named Ed. She's on the top corner of that page there. And it's short for editor. And so she,
nope, that's not it either.
How have you done this before?
There you go. That's the one I was looking for.
That's page 2, and then now you're going to go back to page 1. You're so good. Anyways, it's a really cool story. From what I've seen so far, it hasn't been released yet. Technically, I have a PDF of it that we will be reading. So I'm pretty stoked about that. The hardcover and soft cover comes out in a few months. You will be able to order it if you didn't get in the Indiegogo from stores eventually. It's just going to take you a little bit longer. But the quickest way that you'll be able to read this, if you didn't subscribe to the Indiegogo, is that really cool giveaway that we are doing. And I'm going to butcher it slightly just to say we're going to post more about it before the end of this week. But you will get a free PDF copy of this book by participating, or that you have the chance of getting it by participating in our giveaway.
You might possibly get it. You might not. Who knows?
We have all kinds of stuff. We have original art. We have comic books. We have, I think, a statue, Max, from, the...
2 statues, I think, right? Didn't he say he's given both of those?
Yeah, he might. There's a Batman and or Deathstroke. I don't know if it's both or just one, but either way, you're getting something. So we'll post about that. It's going to be really awesome, and we're looking forward to reading the book in the next week and a half.
Yeah, I definitely am. I don't know. It's because whether it's one of my favorite things because it's got one of my favorite writers and one of my favorite artists, but I get a very hard Tokyo Ghost vibe from this, and it's some of that anime feel. There's swords, there's katanas, robot arms, and shit like that. So I
apologize I didn't mention that book out of all of them.
No. There's so much, right? Like Punk Rock Jesus is automatically what comes to mind when I think of him. But also one of the ones, and I think I said this before, right? I'm not the biggest fan of Scott Snyder, but The Wake is fucking awesome, dude, right? And
that's a really good story.
I don't think people even really know about that book. When you say Scott Snyder, even they talk about obviously his Batman stuff, but they talk about American Vampire, right? Or any of that, which is great. It's great. I love that stuff, especially the Raphael Albuquerque art is just phenomenal for those books. But absolutely, I mean, Sean Gordon Murphy's one of those few artists that has made their way from from just being, a pencilist to being like a great storyteller and writer. And the Batman stuff, the Harley Quinn stuff, although I don't like a lot of what's going on in current Cape comic books or the big two. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was fun, and it was just a different take.
Yeah, I did read the first volume of White Knight, and that was like
Yeah.
one of the first and only, I can't say only Batman things I've read, because I've read, a handful, but I did enjoy it. And again, because it's an Elseworlds, and that's why I like those things more than anything, because, people can die and things can happen and they have consequences. And, I like that stuff. But one thing that someone told me about how much they hate Sean Murphy, and I was really interested to see why. And what they said was, if I wanted to read a movie sketchboard, then I would just go online and check that out. Like, what the fuck is the word I'm looking for? Someone will, for movies, you draw out panel by panel of the shot you're gonna do.
Oh yeah, the plot.
Why can't I think of the word?
I don't know.
Terrible. Anyways, they compared Sean Murphy's art to that kind of a style, and it just kind of made me giggle. But like, I get it, and that's fine. But Sean Murphy loves two of the things that he draws really well are vehicles, and that's why he draws those crazy Batmobiles, and his cityscapes. He loves drawing mountains of buildings, and he's really good at it.
Dude, he draws cars, just especially like old muscle cars, so fucking well. I know you've read Chrononauts from, and like that, talk about a Mark Miller or a Miller World, whatever it is, property that should have been brought to fucking Netflix, man. That is something I would love to see. Like, that would really, I think that would translate well, because
I was going to say, he did an Indiegogo that was literally about driving a car. He released a sketchbook, but in the sketchbook, the first 10 pages of it was an actual comic story. And it was about him meeting somebody else and him driving them in his car, talking about what he does, kind of thing. And it's literally because he loves cars. He drives cars. It's a big deal in his life, and he loves drawing them. And so, yeah, it was a cool little addition to a full, massive sketchbook.
Yeah. He's got that tattoo of a shifter on his hand.
Yeah.
And you're talking about storyboards is what you're thinking of.
Thank you. I'm it's sitting right here on the tip of my tongue, and I just can't think of the word.
I kept typing something into Google to try and figure it out, and then I typed ST, and I'm like, oh, storyboards. That's what it is.
As soon as Alan comes back and I'm not leaving you by yourself, I'll go get the book that I'm talking about, because it was, I want to say, the first Indiegogo campaign that he did, and it was really neat. I actually got with it. I got a layout of a page from The Wake. So it was an 8x10 page, and it had 4 different panels on it, and it was just quick sketches of what was going to be in those 4 panels on one of the pages, the finished pages, and so it's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I love I love that creator-owned shit too. I love being able to support them directly in that manner. You always bring to the table a bunch of the newer kind of Indiegogos or Kickstarters, and I love whenever you post one or show us one, because I'm always if I didn't hear about it, I'm like, click, I gotta buy this now, right? So that's awesome. So I guess so no show next week, and we're going to be talking about some more Sean Gordon Murphy work, but outside of that, I was hoping that, Alan, you would grace us with showing us some of your pickups from this week.
So I told Mike, Tom's leaving. I was trying to tell Tom what I told Mike, but I'll wait till he gets back. While he's gone, well, I guess I can't really talk about anything because he's gone. This fucking guy, bro. I'm sure he's taking a poop in a bag or something like that. Jesus. Okay. Well, fuck.
I think he's just going to get this book that he was talking about while you were gone.
Yeah. Well, anyway, fuck him. So I've been buying a
So-
lot of VHSs lately.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's talk about that movie that they would never make now. Blazing Saddles, a great fucking movie. If you've never seen it, you have to absolutely have a sense of humor to watch this movie, and it's a great movie. Oh, what's weird is I didn't realize that when I was grabbing movies that I grabbed 3 Arnold movies. So now I feel like I just like maybe he just collects a bunch of Arnold movies. Total Recall.
Great movie.
The second Terminator, which
Yes.
I think is probably one of the best ones.
So clean too. Those look. It looks like brand new almost.
Yeah, I think this one still has like the plastic over the actual movie, not holding it in, but like actual like over the case.
So are you gonna send that in and get it graded? Like
I mean, it's definitely about like
VHS 10 sealed, factory sealed.
Box, I'd say like an 8.5 maybe. Did I get this from Price Books? Oh yeah, at Price Books I got this. The first Blair Witch movie.
Oh, that's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And then the Mothman Prophecies.
Oh, these are not the ones you showed us earlier.
I told you this already.
Oh, you did, didn't you?
I already told you this. Eddie Murphy.
Oh, awesome. That's so great.
Then End of Days, Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's actually, I mean, you know, I liked all of these Arnold. What year is this from?
Yeah,
like
End
the
of Days
late,
was
like
fine.
the late '90s, like you know, Arnold movies. We go with some Marky Mark, Fear.
Yeah, that was good.
And then I actually never watched this movie, but I know that the TV show is based on this movie, Westworld.
Oh, I did not even know that existed.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. It's from the person who wrote Jurassic Park. Comes the sci-fi thriller set in a futuristic amusement park where robots cater to your every whim until something goes horribly wrong.
Holy
So,
shit.
yeah.
Was that like a book or something back in the day?
You didn't realize that it existed before the HBO show?
No, I had no idea. No idea. No.
So yeah, I actually have never seen this movie,
Uh-huh.
so that's why I picked it up. But I knew there was a movie that it was based on before the TV show. So
I have
that's
something related to that. I'm going to go grab now.
Great having you back, Tom. See you later.
We're just missing the whole. It's just this podcast is just Mike, it's just all Mike. But man, but I since I think about like 2 weeks ago. I don't know why I thought it would be the greatest idea to start collecting VHSs.
Because it's cheap and easy and awesome.
Yeah, and then I bought a VCR from a antique mall where I know a guy who sells comic books. He has like a comic books and like toys and shit. It's actually where I got those Judge Dredd cards as well. But he had a VCR, and I was like, "Yo, does your VCR work?" And he's like, "Yeah, it works. It had a remote." So I bought it, and it ate 2 of my Ninja Turtle movies.
Ooh.
And I was like, "Cool," and I brought it back. And then yesterday, I went to Value Village, where I buy all the VHS from, and they had a big VCR, but it was like one of the VCRs that you use to copy movies onto blank tapes, but you can still watch movies on the one side. But I haven't really tried it yet because the TV that I have, like a smaller TV that I have, I just didn't really hook it up yet. But I used my other. So on the way after that, I stopped at this little, because I live kind of like in the hood, kind of, and in the hood it's more like a Hispanic kind of like neighborhood that I live in. And I stopped at this not this flea market, this pawn shop, and I was like, I know these motherfuckers more than likely are going to have a DVD VCR combo, and they had one. And the lady was like, I don't know if it works. I was like, what the fuck? How do you not know if it works? This is a pawn shop. And so I bought it anyway, but it works. And so I now have a working VCR to watch movies on.
And an awesome rewinder, too, right?
The Rewinder as well. Yes.
Yeah. How much you bought those for $3 or was it three for $1 a piece? Is that what it was?
Yeah. So pretty much like I guess only on Wednesdays they're like everything's half off. So I guess it's 3 for 50 cents on.
Jesus.
Well, it's funny
That's
because
great.
I had to go to my other. So like on the weekends in the morning, I worked like a job at this juice place, and I went up there to the. I mean, I wouldn't. It's not like people are getting killed here every day, but it's very like.
He lives hood adjacent.
Yeah.
Hood adjacent.
I don't know if you guys know what a Fiesta is. Like a Fiesta supermarket, like a Fiesta grocery store. I live like right on the street from a Fiesta grocery store, and they only kind of put those in like Hispanic neighborhoods. You're not gonna drive to a richer neighborhood and see a Fiesta grocery store.
Gentrification at its finest.
Yeah.
Tom, what do you got for us, bud?
Your Westworld VHS. What year was that put out? What does it say on the back?
It says 1973.
Okay, perfect. Because I have the 1973 vinyl soundtrack to that movie.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that it's exactly the same, if not.
So what music is on that soundtrack, Tom?
Or like
is it original scores or is it like
it's scores? Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
wow!
There's like no songs. It literally like theme from Westworld, chase from Westworld, welcome to Westworld, robot repair, medieval world. It's good stuff.
You know, some of them. I don't know if you watched the HBO series, but some of that music on that was like pretty corny. I wonder if they used any of that original or like mimicked it in any way.
Well, a lot of it was like newer like hip hop kind of shit, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, there was definitely like parts where like they were in the simulation or whatever that they had like some more corny stuff going on. I wonder if they like if it's like you said Westworld chase. Like I imagine it's like a chase scene where they're on horses. Like I wonder if any of that was used or considered when they remade it. I had no idea this was even a thing. I'm very intrigued. I'm probably going to go try and find that movie immediately after this because I love the show and watch it.
So before we get too far away, this was the art book I was talking about, the Sean Murphy one. It's called Under the Hood because, again, he likes cars a lot. And so, yeah, the first few...
Not Under the Red Hood.
No.
Okay.
It's also printed this way.
Oh, that's awesome.
For the comic, which is very 90s of him. But yeah, it's literally about him getting in a car and driving and talking to someone while he does it. But it was a fun little addition. But realistically, like the actual cool sketches and stuff is why I bought the book 100%. Because like this kind of stuff is way cooler, even if it is Batman sometimes.
Yeah.
Or it's like one of those things. I think the real reason Tom bought it. Like, have you ever seen those like My Strange Obsessions, where people like are in love with their cars? And so I think late at night, Tom goes out to the garage and sticks his dick in the fucking tailpipe of his car and ejaculates.
I'm sure Tom very much seems like somebody who's in love with cars.
I didn't say he's in love with cars. I just think he likes to ejaculate inside of them.
Jesus. Was that a Misfits skull?
So it's a bunch of like punk rock Jesus sketches of different band logos. So you got some
right.
Misfits, and then I think
so it's
there it is.
Wait, did he steal that from the Comic Book Fiend Club?
Probably. That's how it all works.
No. Other comic books do homages to the Die My Darling cover from the Misfits that they created. That's what you don't understand. See,
Misfits.
Danzig has created everything he's ever done by himself. He's never stolen a single thing from anybody.
Mm-mm.
So if you don't know that, Alan, well, you're just not there, my friend. And Evan says love is love for bro. I agree, Evan. Absolutely. That's hilarious. Oh, Jesus. So, I don't remember what we were talking about.
Wait.
VHS tapes.
Before
Go.
we move on from VHS tapes, I got a couple in the mail the other day.
Let's see yours. Let's do it.
Yeah, there's only two, literally two.
Yeah. So one thing I got to preface this with is like when I first started seeing you post or like send pictures to us about VHS tapes, I had to like do a second look all the time because unbeknownst to me, there's people out there who make up crazy shit and make these totally, create. They're not. I hate to use the word fake, but they're different. They're fake essentially. They're not real VHS tapes. And sure. I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Like, what is he posting? How does this exist? And then I realized that they're like creators that are creating their own thing, and like it's their own style of art, and they're like, so like it blew me away. I thought it was hilarious. I started following some of those guys on IG, but so what I have to say is, are these real VHS tapes that you found, or are these some of those parody or homage VHS tapes that you purchase?
So what you're explaining, there's a few people out there that I purchase things from on Instagram, and they will take like newer movies and take a DVD or a Blu-ray and record it onto a blank VHS tape. They will deck out the cover of the VHS to look like an original VHS tape and then sell it that way. So
you can actually watch those.
Yeah, I watched Hereditary the other day, the A24 film, on VHS off of my projector in the garage. It was great. It was so dark, I couldn't see a damn fucking thing.
Yeah. Nothing like taking something from like decent quality, downgrading it back to a worse quality, and then charging 3 times the price for it.
I have a copy of the entire season of WandaVision on VHS.
That's awesome.
There's no breaks between them. There's no what do you call it? Credits at the end. It literally just goes right into the next episode. He edited them all together to be like a 5.5 hour VHS tape of the entire season of WandaVision.
That's pretty awesome. So can you have? I remember back in the day, like I used to have Scarface, and it was 2 tapes because it was such a long movie. So can you have a 5.5 hour VHS tape now?
There's some ridiculous. I think 8 hours is the max.
Wow, that's crazy.
On blank VHS tapes, yeah.
Wow.
So the 2 tapes that I do have are actual tapes. One is similar to what you're talking about. This movie is only 10 years old, and it's called Manborg. And it's created by the same guys that just put out Psycho Goreman recently. They've done movies like Father's Day, The Void, things like that. You can find them all on Amazon, streaming for most of them. There's some really great stuff. But yeah, this was one of their first movies, came out about 10 or 11 years ago at this point. And it's all green screen. The entire thing is like this weird, super like futuristic, everything's green screen. Like this guy over here is very like claymation style. It's a fantastically bad movie made by the guys called Astron 6 out of Canada. Raven Banner Entertainment released this.
Hey, before you put that one away, when you held up the back, it said there was a cat and it said restricted. What does that mean?
Ooh, I can tell you. So what I'll do is I'll post it on our page. But back in the day, there was a trailer that would run before rated R movies, and it was this cute little cat. And he would run around in the forest, and he kept hearing a really big growl behind him, and he started getting scared. And then he got so scared, he like jumps into the next scene, and it's he turns into this cute like Disney-looking cat into this big like cougar-looking thing, and it says restricted on him because it's a rated R movie. It's a very like 70s-ish kind of exploitation thing that used to be used a lot.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so when I saw that, when it came in the mail, I got super excited, and my girlfriend just looked at me like, "What the fuck is going on?" And I was like, "No, it's the cat.
It's the cat. It's the restricted cat.
Yeah, no,
how do you not know this?
And so the other one that I got is actually a Disney movie, and I'm a big fan of Mr. Toad, and it's one of my favorite rides. I go to it every single time I have a chance when I'm at Disneyland or Disney World, but I have the Blu-rays and the DVDs of the cartoon of Mr. Toad and Ichabod. And they're super cool. But I had no idea that there is a movie, a live-action movie, with 90% of the what the hell is that comedy team from England? The Monty Python character.
Monty Python, yeah.
Thank you. This whole movie is like 8 different characters. No, there's not even that many. There's like 4 or 5. But yeah, a lot of Monty Python characters are in this movie, and it's a live action Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Yeah.
I found this on Etsy for like $8, and I had to have it. The trailer for it is pretty terrible looking because they're people yeah, they're like anthropomorphic, whatever, however you say that, animal people, and it looks really bad. It's from '97, if I'm not mistaken, but it looks like it's from even older than that. So I've never seen it. I've only seen the trailers, and I'm probably going to watch it directly after this. But I heard it's terrible. So
it's pretty outlandish. I actually, for whatever reason, have actually seen that movie, and it is it's a weird choice for Disney, that's for sure. Very weird choice.
They were just throwing out whatever they could do back in the 90s, apparently.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, that's awesome. I think like VHS Corner needs to be like something we do because to the dismay of my wife, I am now intrigued on. I need to go find VHS tapes. It's the one thing that I always like pick up and I look at and I'm like, oh, these are awesome. And I'm just gonna put that back down over there and then walk away. My wife Anna, her mother moved like a few months back. They sold their house and bought a condo and whatever, and so all of her shit that was in the house ended up back here, and she has this huge tub of original Disney movies. It's like all the original movies. And she's like, can't we sell all this? And I'm like, can't we enjoy this with our children?
Right.
But so I got to get you. Go ahead.
No, finish.
I was just going to say, I got to get a VHS player, one that's not going to eat tapes. And I'm probably going to get on this game too, because sooner or later, as I've been seeing on fucking IG, people are going to try and profit off of this fucking thing. You know, it sucks already, but I'm seeing people post about fucking, nice case, complete in cellophane VHS tapes. And like, apparently you can get them graded now. It's just gone too far. And I'm someone who loves graded things, graded comic books, right? Like I have no problem with it. And the video game thing, I get. But VHS, man, like this is just, we've taken it too far at this point, I think. So before that shit happens, I want to find some fun things to. So I think like a VHS haul would be super fun. Yeah. One thing I'm going to be in Lake George, and I'm definitely going to go to antique shops when I can, and I'm going to probably end up looking for VHS tapes more than I am comic books.
I'll let me grab one that I'm kind of pumped that you might like, Mike, because it's an anime.
Yeah.
I have a real quick shit talk story about VHS. So I was roommates with a guy for a while. He was kind of like not in the best places. He was getting a divorce, that kind of thing. He was actually playing in one of the bands that I play in still. And so we became roommates, this and that. He had a very large VHS collection. And he, in the end, fucked me over. That's a beauty. Right?
Yeah, Steve, you can see like
that is pretty awesome.
The sparkly stuff on the side.
See, I would even buy that.
Yeah, I would definitely buy that.
Yeah, there's like a comic book store by where I live, and if you go like farther into it, like it's They have like DVDs, they have like records, they have like wrestling stuff, like anime stuff. Like the way that they split their comic books up too is really weird. Like they have all these comic books, and then like if you're looking for like horror stuff, they have all the horror comics in like one. But it's like not just like the specific, like it's like Swamp Thing and Phantom Stranger and all that. Like it's kind of like classified like in the horror. It's kind of frustrating.
That's a little weird.
But it's like they have like one that's like all Star Wars and like Star Wars stuff and Star Trek and like all that kind of stuff. But it's
quick question off that. I know this is off, but so when you go to a comic shop, like the way they organize comics is super. It's like the first thing I recognize in the comic shop. And for me, like by publisher, chronological, alphabetical is the only way to go, right? Like where's your Marvel section? Where's your DC section? Where's your, and I'll even give you like, where's your indie section if you want to, right? Like I'm okay with that, right?
Yeah,
I don't need to
get the big two and then everything else.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. I don't need an IDW. I don't need an image. I don't need everything else that's out there, right? But like that kind of thing that you were just talking about, like that, like this isn't a fucking library where like you can have publishers next to each other, because that's not how people identify with comic books. Like it's interesting, right? But like when you go to a library, you don't think about who published The Catcher in the Rye. You just think about The Catcher in the Rye, right? But like when you go to a comic book, it's like, well, it's Marvel, and then it's Spider-Man, and then it's the 70s or the 60s.
They separate y'all's because like there's like a big in Houston, anyways. There's like a big chain of comic book stores, and they just do it like alphabetically. They're like everything's separated alphabetically. There's no Marvel side. There's no DC. There's no indie. Like it's just everything's alphabetically. Sometimes they'll have like a miscellaneous A, and they'll have like a bunch of indie titles and stuff like that. But
and I think even that's fine. I mean, my question is, what do you prefer, right? Like that's my ultimate question here.
I'd rather them not be organized.
Yeah,
and I could just dig through them all, and it'd just be a random surprise every time.
Yeah, and you find that random book that's worth like $1,000 on eBay right now, and they have no idea they have it.
I like
it. Yeah. I agree with that. Like I love that as well. But I think when I'm talking about like going to a con, going to a booth at a con, or going to a comic shop,
random.
Yeah, no.
I mean, but I don't hardly ever go to comic book stores and buy like
back issues.
Like,
yeah, me neither.
If I find them, I'm gonna find them like just digging through random shit. I mean, every now and then there may be like something that I do specifically go for, and it's okay that they're. But I mean, but a lot of times now, even with like speculations and shit, they're pulling. As soon as fucking doofus with the glasses. Comic Tom fucking says something or pops up in Key Collector's app or fucking Very Gary or Lords of the Long Box or somebody fucking mentions this book is speculated, people either go out there and they get it super quick, or the fucking someone works at the comic book shop and they pull that comic book, immediately, and now it's now this dollar book that's speculated is now
it's a wall book,
$25 wall book for because some fucking idiot mentioned it in a podcast or on their Instagram or something.
Yeah. Like Superman number 14 from 2010, right? That book is huge. I just made that up, obviously. I don't even know if that exists, but
that's a perfect segue into this book.
Before we go that way, Tom, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say I get both ways, but like there's a store in San Diego that will separate things alphabetically, but then they also have a horror section and a underground section. And I always look at those two things. So like the horror section is full of House of Secrets, House of Mystery, 20 cent like horror books from those big two and from other things. And then I run into the underground books that are literally, they can't fit anywhere else. They belong together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'm very happy about that whenever I go to that shop.
Yeah. And do you think that it's like something like horror comics is such a important genre within the medium that it's okay to have that, like that horror?
I think it's it's important, but it's also small enough to where you can fit it all in one little section and not like take away from an alphabetical order or a publisher type of deal.
Yeah, but I mean, like you also like you don't see like I never walk into a comic book and see like the
Hey, don't get chalk all over the fucking bed.
the military section or like the army, right? Like there's tons of old army books, right?
Or westerns.
Or westerns, right? Like there's tons of that, but I've never been in and I've seen horror. I've seen the horror sci-fi section in a comic book store. I've never walked in and seen the western section in a comic book store. So it's just interesting that they would choose, and I think it's because it's so popular.
Yeah,
right? That's what makes sense to me, at least to me. But
I've seen it in one other store. It was an antique mall, and in the antique mall, they literally had a war section and a western section as well. And again, it was because they were a Silver Age, kind of seller, and so that's where all of that stuff came from, Silver and Gold Age stuff. So there was a lot of it,
Right.
It was worth it to them to separate it that way.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I'm just, I just guess I've never really seen it that much.
I mean, I get maybe separating comics and magazines, but I don't see the reason to separate, into like Hoarder or like Star Wars or any of that stuff. Just put them in the S's, bro, or put them where they belong alphabetically. Like it just makes more sense that way.
There's just too much Superman in the S's to find anything.
Dude, I absolutely hate Superman is fucking stupid.
Come on, man. Early Action Comics, that stuff is awesome, dude. You don't like any of that at all?
It's just all corny as fuck, which isn't bad, obviously.
No, it's not bad.
That Big Blue Boy Scout has no interest for me. Like, there's no draw to him at all. He's an overpowered, like, I can't be beat, kind of superhero, and that there's no appeal to me. Sorry.
No. It's.
Man, I don't see any fucking Superman comics behind you.
You're right. I don't. To be honest with you, I don't own. I mean, I own some. Like Tom said, like things like Red Sun, like some small, like whether it's like hardcovers or small, miniseries, single issues or whatever. But no, I don't. I don't have any of those old Action Comics. I love it. One of the books I look at all the time. I always check the price on. I always have. I think it's even saved in one of my eBay searches. Is the first appearance of Brainiac. And it's just because like I like there's something in me that loves that book, but when I think about it, like if I had the money to spend on that book, I'd spend it on something else. I wouldn't buy that book. So I guess I'm intrigued by it. I love the art. I do enjoy the art. I think I also love the idea of like he's kind of the first, like I think that thing like kind of intrigues me, but
I mean, I get it. I get it in the sense of collecting like the villains, because Superman's villains are always more interesting than. I mean, that's just like Batman's cool, but Batman's villains are way more appealing than Batman is himself.
And I think that's something we all have in common is like we're much more like to look at the villains and stuff like that than maybe the Big Blue Boy Scout. Anyway,
it'd be cool to shoot lasers out of my eyes, but that's about as far as that goes.
Well, you could be Homelander, so
I wouldn't fly around because I'm afraid of heights. I would just kind of like hover above the ground.
You can't be afraid of heights if you can fly.
I agree.
I totally could. I would be like, no. Even if I was indestructible, I probably wouldn't fly. I would just cool.
That's a comic book. That's a comic book I want.
But how much more scarier is it to fight somebody who's hovering above the ground just slightly? Like if I came to you hovering above the ground as opposed to just landing in flying.
And what if I could fly and I just took off and you didn't follow me? Then I'd be like, that bitch.
Well, then there'd be no point to fight. But say you couldn't and you're a non-flying hero. And you just saw me hovering slightly above the ground and knew that I was all powerful.
So if you're one of that Superman that hovers, are you a Superman that hovers and hangs his feet, or do your feet stay straight?
Straight.
Yeah.
I even walk. I just kind of I walk. It's not just like a not just like a straight hover. It's me walking.
The walk on water aspect.
Yeah. They're like, holy fuck. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
That's funny.
Did we talk Loki yet? No, we didn't.
Yeah, let's talk Loki. So
Did Mike actually watch the episode this week?
I did. Yeah, no, hey man, I watched it. Did you actually read the fucking book for once? Jesus Christ. This is not
this is the first time that I've actually I seriously consider not reading the book. Jesus.
So Loki episode 4, right? Yeah. What do you guys think about the series so far?
Episode 3 was slightly boring compared to episode 4.
I agree.
Yeah. I think it's the best. I honestly think this is the best series out of all of the series. I like it. It's a character that's already pretty established, and they're kind of giving him more of a like you care more about this character because you're seeing more of who this character actually is. I didn't really even care about Scarlet Witch during the fucking movies anyway, and then I'm like, cool, they're making a fucking like, who needs a Hawkeye TV show? Nobody. You know, who needed
like that Hawkeye solo series with the dog and his
who
daughter.
needs any of that? Who needs a Black Widow movie? No one.
I think Black Widow is going to be a good movie. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a sleeper. I think it's going to end up being fucking awesome for some reason. I don't know why. I like the Black Widow though. I don't like Black Widow in the comic books. I've never cared about it. Like I don't give a shit about that character. But in the movie, like I could see this being a good, like, if it's done right, like a spy, like action movie. Like I could see it being a good movie, personally. But I'm hopeful too, right? Like. Winter Soldier with her, she was in that movie a lot, and that was a fucking the best Marvel movie. You know, it was essentially a James Bond movie in Marvel. You know, and it was amazing. I just fucking loved it.
It was mostly amazing because he had a metal arm.
Yeah,
like if he didn't have a metal arm, probably wouldn't have been that great.
Yeah, Bucky's badass.
Yeah, I've heard from people that have already seen it because they've given, they got the rights to early showings and stuff like that. That it's a very good action movie. That it may lack some, some story development for certain people and things like that, but it's a good action movie, and is every review I've heard of it so far. So I'm looking forward to it in general. I have tickets to see it already, so.
Yeah, and that's what you need from a movie like this, right? Like, I mean, do you watch James Bond or Mission Impossible for the character development, or do you want to see, like, some crazy shit going on? Like, like that's what it is for me, at least. So anyway, but back to Loki. I agree with what you're saying, Alan.
It was the best movie. Shut up! It was surprisingly good. It was the best one.
Okay.
As we get later into the podcast, I become angry with people watching the podcast.
That's true. And me and Tom just become drunker. So before I get there too far, let's I agree with what you're saying about Loki. I'm not sure that I'm there yet, that it's my favorite of the 3 that have aired so far, because it hasn't finished. With the ending of episode 4, I'm way more intrigued. Like
alligator is awesome.
That alligator that comes out of nowhere and just fucking poops out variant eggs of Loki. I'm just like, what's going on here? No, but I mean, like, right, like full spoilers. Like, I know there's only 3 people watching this, so spoiler alert. But the fact that, like, I mean, I did not see him dying. Like, there's no world where I thought that was going to happen in the end of episode 4.
I mean, like, technically, he didn't. Did you watch the after credits of the 4th episode?
Of the first episode?
The 4th episode. There's an after credits scene.
Oh, no, I didn't. No way. I watched them.
That's the alligator. You don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I thought you were being full of I thought you were joking.
No, there's a fucking alligator Loki with a fucking helmet, a horned helmet on it everywhere.
All right. Well, I'm gonna watch that after this.
You
But
fucked up.
bro, I scroll through all of these every single time, and this is the one time I didn't do it.
I
And it's
also don't
because
know if y'all heard that they went back and on Disney Plus they changed the after credit scenes on WandaVision.
Yeah.
There's like a little bit extra at the end where I guess it goes to like the mountains or something like that, and it's kind of like a mirror, and they're trying to imply that Doctor Strange is somehow involved with it, but they didn't tell anybody anything, and they just went back and changed the after credit scene. And
really,
Yeah. So when Wanda's sitting in her little cabin and stuff like that, if you go back and watch it now, it's like deep in the forest. Before there was like some trees here and there. Now it's like the entire area is covered in forest. It doesn't really lend anything more to the story, but it's just they took the scenery and just like amped it up to more of a secluded looking area, I feel. But it's definitely kind of strange. They didn't tell anybody, but yeah, someone noticed and made a whole thing about it.
really, I did not see that. That's interesting. Um, I have the Loki thing playing right now because I'm gonna watch it.
also watch Invincible season 1 on Amazon.
Yeah, definitely. And buy all the trades on instocktrades.com.
I'm actually fixing to watch that. Well, after she goes to sleep, I'm gonna watch that new Ryan Reynolds movie. Not Ryan Reynolds. Fucking Chris Pratt.
The sci-fi movie,
Yeah.
Save the World or whatever.
Okay.
Tomorrow Man,
So-
or something like that.
Something
So
like that.
bigger than the alligator. I think you kind of buried the lead here. We got Kid Loki, right?
Yeah, you got Old Man Loki, and then like Worthy Loki with Mjolnir there,
Yep.
but none of them are an alligator.
No, that is very true. That is very true. An alligator Loki, although albeit he's a shapeshifter, so he could really kind of turn into anything, and he's half ice giant, so there's a lot of stuff. But
If you have Thor Frog and then Alligator Loki, that like I'll watch that show all day. I don't give a fuck.
that's true. I didn't even think about that. That's funny. That's interesting. Yeah, so he didn't die. So where is he then?
And the question is he in the same place everyone else is? Did Owen Wilson go there too, or is he dead?
Well,
Or-
there's a.
They pruned them. They didn't kill them. They pruned them. What does that mean?
I don't know if there's a clip or there's a photo of Owen Wilson driving a time machine car or something, heading towards the TVA or something. But now it's sparked a speculation on him possibly being Kang. And
They were saying that early that the one of the timekeepers was Kang, right? Or you're saying that they're saying somebody else is Kang?
they're saying that Owen Wilson's character Mobius is Kang.
Oh,
But isn't, I mean, in the comic books, he's Reed Richards' father from a different dimension and time travels and gets. But there's a. I posted it in my story about how that's $1 fucking book, and now it's like a $30 book because there's a scene where he is driving a time machine, and they're saying that he's Kang. I don't know. It's stupid.
Jesus Christ.
yeah, sounds stupid, crazy. There's no fucking way Kang the Conqueror is going to be introduced in a 6-issue or a 6-episode fucking series on Disney Plus.
On Discovery Channel.
I almost said Discovery Plus. I almost said it.
It's hard. You know, there's
It's
so
just
many
like the
things
Mephisto
to do.
stuff. Like
Yeah.
I just don't think like these are not entry level like bad guys, villains. These are fucking like end the world type villains. Like these are Thanos level villains. Right?
What if we get a smiling Kang at the very end of this series, like we did Thanos back in the day, and he didn't show up again for 5 other movies? You know?
Kang does not smile, first of all, so that's not going to happen. But I mean, Kang's one of the things. Like, I love Doctor Doom. I like Thanos now that everything that's happened with the MCU. But Kang, I really like Kang. Like, he is always an awesome, fun, interesting character. It's like time travel done best because it's like nothing matters. There is no answers. Answers don't matter. Like I'm Kang. I'm King the Conqueror. I've conquered time. You can't ask me the question because the answers don't matter, right? Like I love the idea of him. And if
How else would you bring him in then if you have an entire show about time?
I
and you
mean,
don't bring him into that.
everybody's speculating that it's going to be an Ant-Man, Wasp, whatever the third movie is.
Right.
That he's going to be the bad guy there. But I think if I was the one that could make the decision, like, hey, this is how you introduce the Fantastic Four, right? This is like how you say, where the fuck have the Fantastic Four been during all this, right? And it's like they've been in time, traveling time, fighting King the Conqueror. And here's the story. And now you have this huge villain that just popped up, and he's in Fantastic Four 1, the first movie or whatever. And he ends up being the big bad for the next whatever phase or whatever it is. I don't know. That's where I want him. Personally, that's where I would put him. Back where he belongs. I mean, I know he came from Avengers, but everything, like, there's a lot of Fantastic Four Kang stuff out there that I would love to see.
I mean, if they do Fantastic Four, Doom's going to be the he's the main Fantastic Four antagonist.
Yeah, no, I get that. But I don't know. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of videos where they show that apparently, like, Kang's world or his city or whatever it was already shown in the quantum realm in one of the movies already.
In the little back.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, it looks exactly like the drawing of where he lived in the comic books. And so it's like, yeah, he's there, he's in this realm, and they need to, there's something has to happen to get him out of there to where he does all of this other shit that he's going to do.
But how much of that stuff actually means something, and how much of it is just like Easter egg? We're having fun. We're just putting this here to have fun. Like, there's one of the shots of like the timekeeper statues where one of the ones in like the bottom right hand corner looks almost identical to Kang. Like if it was colored in the same colors as Kang, it would be Kang. But like, here we go. Like, we find out, like, as I kind of thought, they're not even really the big bads in this. They're not even villains, right? They're fucking robots. So I guess on that, like, who do you think's controlling all this? Is that the big question? Do you have ideas?
I have no idea.
Honestly. No idea. Me neither.
I would rather go in having no idea. I've watched too many fan theories about how someone's like, oh, what if it's Miss Minutes? What if she, like, there's a whole elevator floor leading to her that no one goes to?
Oh, I saw that too. Like,
it's like, what is this thing? Is it more than what we think it is? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, and then like the character that is the judge, she is in comics and was in a relationship with Kang the Conqueror in comic books. And so everyone, people think that she's working for him. And so I'm sitting back and letting it play out.
She does seem super suspicious though. Like,
I kind of thought she was the bad guy at first. I thought she was going to be like the person pulling all the strings. And then early in this episode, you saw another judge. And I'm like, oh, well, there's other judges. Like, she came up as whatever,
a Minuteman.
Minuteman, right? Yeah,
but the only judge that matters is Dredd.
Wouldn't it be awesome if they introduced Judge Dredd into the MCU?
That'd be great.
He was the one behind it all.
That would blow my mind, literally.
It makes sense because I feel like Sylvie knows that little wand doesn't kill you because the judge wanted her to do it because she definitely knows that she's not dying because of it. She's just going somewhere else. And she's like, get me the fuck out of here. She looks at her. She's like, do it. And Sylvie's like, no, I want fucking answers. You're going to tell me what's going on kind of deal.
Yeah, that after credit scene tied everything together that made the biggest difference because
Right.
did I think I figured oh, it's a throwaway variant that we've been watching. He's dead, but Loki's gonna come back. This is where now you see vote for Loki and kid Loki and all this stuff. Like she goes around and tries to find another variant of Loki, maybe because she's in love with him or whatever it is.
Right.
But then so I didn't think it was the end of him, but I thought it was interesting. Now that changes everything. Let me ask you a question. Go ahead. You go first.
No, I was just going to say, in the trailers that we've seen before the show even happened, you have Loki running for president and all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, there's a ton of stuff we've already seen that hasn't happened yet. So,
right.
There's only two more episodes.
Just two.
Yeah.
Well, and that last after credit scene says pretty distinctly, we're about to show you a fuck ton of Loki variants, right?
Right.
There's an alligator, there's the kid Loki, there's the worthy Loki, there's so I hope and I anticipate that the last two episodes are going to be loaded with them just hopping around, time traveling nonstop, and all these different variants for whatever reason it may be, and whatever the end comes of it. But so let me ask you a question. So if you fall in love with yourself from another timeline and then have sex with yourself from another timeline, is that masturbation or is that incest? How does that work? On the spectrum of weird, is that acceptable? Where does that fall? I'm just not sure.
Michael J. Fox almost fucked his mother in Back to the Future.
But that's not himself, though. That's weird because that's your
weird.
Mother. That's
what
weird.
but what if he ended up being his own father?
Right. Think about it this way.
Sure. What if you fucked yourself and then had yourself as a kid? That's gotta be way worse, right?
I guess.
I guess.
I don't know. I'm asking the question. That's how my mind works.
I would definitely be more comfortable with fucking a female version of myself than my mom.
Yes, agreed.
Can I also say that whenever they first introduced her, I didn't think she was that hot, but now that they've actually had her do stuff, I'm kind of she's kind of hot.
She got all wet, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
You know who she reminded me of when she first came? I kept thinking of Holly from The Office. I don't know if you guys watch The Office the way I do, but Michael Scott's girlfriend at the HR, that's in my head who I kept thinking the actress was, at least.
We didn't even mention Sif came back for the first time since Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
I love the character of Lady Sif, and Jamie Alexander is a cool person and a cool actor, but I don't necessarily care for her as Lady Sif. I need... it sounds really bad. I'm not judging a person's body, but as playing a character of some sort, she just seems like she'd get pushed over or something, and Sif isn't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's. I think that's a fair.
Very sexist of you, Tom.
I think
they're Asgardians.
I still want her to be a woman. I just want her to look more like she could kick my ass, and I don't feel like Jamie Alexander.
What is the chick from The Mandalorian? The one that got fired from the show?
She looks like she can kick my ass. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a big bitch.
Well, wasn't she? Wasn't she like a UFC?
That's a big bitch
or something. Gina Carrera.
Yeah.
Gina Carrera.
She was one of the Italians.
She was. Yeah, she's one of us. Hey. She's spaghetti, meatballs, parmesan.
It's okay if you say it.
Wasn't she? Wasn't she a UFC fighter though, or something like that, or didn't she fight professionally? I'm pretty sure she did. Either way, I don't want to get into that. Fuck her.
Yeah.
Anyways,
she was one of the main people on Gladiators. Do you remember that show where they would have
what were their
gladiators
names
at the end? And they're just big, strong,
and their names were Blaze and Laser, and
Turbo.
You're just talking about dodgeball now.
Canon.
The
There's
last
never-
time I bought something from the guy that does God Hates Astronauts, Brown. What the fuck is his name? Ryan Brown. He did God Hates Astronauts and that Wizard story with Charles Soule, and anyways, a bunch of stuff. The last time I bought something from him at a con, he gave me a sealed pack of Gladiator cards as like a plus for the book that I bought, and it had a piece of really old gum and everything in it. It was great.
That's awesome.
Did you eat the gum?
I tried to. It was really hard. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, crazy hard.
That's funny.
Can we go to bed now? I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done too. So, yeah. Well, that is.
What intro did we do? Did we do
What-
the Always Sunny intro?
Yeah.
I totally
serious?
forgot all about that. I feel like this podcast has gone on for a really long time today.
It's been a solid almost hour 40, so
Yeah.
we're coming up there. So, Tom, you want to take us home here, bud?
Totally. If you want to read a story about some nights and some time travel, go pick up Green Valley from Image Comics.
What a glowing review.
The funny thing
If
is,
you want to read a book, go get one.
Do you want decent art and kind of all right story, I guess?
If you want to drown yourself in mediocrity, read this book.
I feel like the post I did earlier today was much more enthralling and exciting about it. Time travel, dinosaurs, yeah. Yeah, I was at a comic shop not too long ago and last week, and I saw a hardcover collection of Green Valley. It was like $30, and I was like, oh, maybe I should just get this, and it'd be easier to read and this and that. And I'm so glad I didn't. But again, I will say it every single show. Go out, read the book yourself, and make the decision for yourself, because obviously the three of us are going to have different tastes than other people in the world. You never know. You might love it. So yeah, go read Green Valley by Image Comics, and then do yourself a favor and don't read the plot holes because you don't have a copy of it. But we're going to post a really cool giveaway that will give you a copy of it in the next day or so. So be excited for that. The next show that's going to happen on July 14th, I believe it is. If it's not, then Mike's a liar.
No, it's the 15th.
15th. There you go, liar Mike. We are going to be talking about plot holes.
Oh
and
no,
probably-
I'm kidding. It's the 14th.
I'm pretty sure it's the 14th.
Yeah, it's the 14th. I'm stupid.
I know because I have an important meeting on Monday the 12th, and I can do math. So,
Well done. Well done. So July 14th, again, we're going to talk about The Plot Holes by Sean Gordon Murphy, and keep a lookout on our Instagram for that giveaway so you can win your own copy of this fantastic book. I'm calling it fantastic prematurely, but who knows? Go ahead and go to our YouTube page that you're already on and subscribe to it. That is part of the giveaway, which you'll learn about more in a couple days. Thank you very much. We love you. We hate you. Go fuck yourself. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Cheers, kids.